Yeah, maybe you just need to have the mic closer to you or something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's great. Wait, hold on. Speak again. Wait, why is it? Did you press something? I can't hear you now. I don't know why. Did you press a button, Ben?
Oh, shit. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you
Oh, there's
so
an echo
crisp
though.
and clear. The clarity
Okay.
with which I can hear you is crazy.
Okay. Wonderful. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Sips and Conversations Live. I
Welcome to
promise we have
Sip.
not been sipping on margarita, mimosa, or any of the other M's
No.
today. Despite our time zone difference, neither one of us have started to indulge in
No.
adult beverage.
Absolutely not.
We're just Saturday braining
Yeah.
and enjoying the struggle. So, of course, before we get started, Alana,
Yes.
first of all, for those of y'all who are like, who is this gorgeous lady here that's matching me? No, this was not planned whatsoever.
Not
We'll tell y'all
planned
the story
at
about
all.
this in a second. It's actually kind of funny. But Alana Goodman, we're co-hosts now. Okay, so you're going to see her forever and ever.
I feel way more chill this time around than the first time around. The first time I was like so nervous. I was like, I need to like, I don't know, look professional or like my glasses. I need to like be. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe we should just always film on a Saturday because honestly, I was
It
so
is more chill.
I was so chill. I literally was just like looking at because I'm on the time difference, so it's like 3 p.m. here. So I was just laying on the couch. I was like scrolling on TikTok, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we gotta film." I was like, "Let me set up my thing."
Let's go. Let's do this. Meanwhile, it's like 9 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah.
That's kind of like almost sorry, what?
I said I'm sorry about that.
No, it's not on you, but I was gonna say it's almost like a running joke because we're like, okay, Central Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time, GMT. Like, what are we doing? Which time zone are we on?
Are we on Earth? Are we?
What's happening today?
What's happening?
Yeah. So, welcome to Alana Goodman. Of course, all of the contact information. Check her out on socials and all that good jazz, all in the comment section. And fun fact, Alana, she daylights at several different things. She wears a million hats. She's also like our marketing expert and all things wonderful. So not only she our co-host, but she is the person that markets, posts, does all the things. So be sure to follow us on social media, Sips and Conversations, on TikTok and Instagram. We don't do Facebook,
and
y'all.
I think on YouTube as well. Actually, on TikTok it's Sips and Convos. Sips and Conversations was taken. Interesting. I'm like, I don't know who they are, but
it ain't us.
Rude.
That's all I know.
It's Sips and Convos on TikTok, and I think it's Sips and Convos on like the YouTube short, but not on the channel or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever. Look up Sips and Conversations.
Though,
you will literally find us. There's links everywhere, and if it's really that serious and you can't find it, you could send us an email, and I'll tell you where to find it.
Yes, send us an email at do we have a Sips and Convos email, or is it admin at
No, it's admin. It's admin.
Admin at shadetrendy.com. So all
right.
On this wonderful Saturday morning when we're matching. So before we get started, I guess we'll get started with like a funny story.
Go ahead.
So this morning I was like, I'm going to try my new tool. I got this new gadget and I can put it up in my bathroom mirror.
Oh, yeah.
And it lets me, like, I can film, so I can do some content things while I'm getting ready and without having to hold the phone. And, when the phone is down low, like your angles are weird. And like, especially when you got, I don't have like a massive chest, but like it's decent enough to where you just look big as heck. Like if you've got the wrong angle. And so I can't film from down low. And then I have like some really weird angles going on sometimes with my face. And so I'm like, Lord, I need something here. like real angles. Okay, guys. So I found this thing on YouTube, on Amazon. It was like $10. I'm like, what? Okay, let me try this out. And so I was like, oh, well, we're filming an episode today. While I get ready, I'll like do my makeup, tell people go follow Sips, and all that good jazz. And I thought that I would be done in enough time to not get caught. Then I did.
Because, well, we should preface by saying, I mean, I've been late a few times, but something about you should know about Nancy is that sometimes she was notoriously late for our meetings.
I am African.
Which is fine. I'm used to that by now. So I already knew 3:00, well, 3:00 my time was going to come around and you were going to be like, I'm 5 minutes.
I tried not, I actually really do a good effort not to be late. I actually tried really hard.
For our actual, like, business, like, meeting, you're usually not late. You're usually on it. But it's whenever we do things, like, not during the work week, I feel like, that, like, for some reason, like, I told you, it's the shut off that I'm like, it's not a work day. I don't have my brain on.
Yeah. So, like, you know, I'm like rushing. And I do my makeup in like, it might take me 10 minutes. I mean, it's literally like half a pump of foundation, and I'm just doing this, you know, and okay, I need some concealer so my eyes don't look like raccoons. I do my brows. Okay, I've got to have some form of like, I love my cheeks, you know, I need to put some stuff on my cheeks. And usually I'm done. I need mascara and I need lipstick, but I do that after the fact, right? So I'm like almost done. And then I see Alana. I was like, shh.
I surely did pop up on your live.
I've been found. Now, if I'm late, I can't,
minutes.
Right. If I'm late, I can't be like, oh, my kid. Tristan wouldn't stop bothering me.
Oh, sorry. I had to help him. It's a lot, you know. You were like, oh, you're like, I want to see you. Let's pop up on the live. I'm like, girl, no.
Because she's like, oh, we're matching. I'm like, I want to see. She's like, I will see you.
I'm going to see you in 5 minutes when you start this live. The podcast.
It was so funny.
Oh my God. Hilarious.
It was quite funny. You know what's funny? I'm sitting here struggling as if I don't have an actual mic stand. But I'm not going to go get it, though.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing.
I get it. I bought a stand to assist with my, like, this is like my phone stand because, you know, you're making me do content now these days. So I bought a phone stand and I've been using it so much to just like literally to prop up my phone and like play Netflix while I'm working. And I completely forgot that I was going to film like a whole like getting set up for the podcast thing, and I'm like, it's sitting next to me and I'm like, well, now we're in the podcast, so I missed that content, gonna have to do that.
See, that's why I went live. See,
I know, I'm proud of you. Here's the thing, the thing that everybody should know is that I'm very proud of her for doing her social media thing, because you know she goes in and out of the motivation, so when she has the motivation, I'm like, yeah, do it. Get into it. But I just thought that was so funny. I said, pre-sip, get ready with me. I was like, huh?
Shit. It was literally all.
And then I was thinking, because you know how like you follow people, like famous people or whatever, and then they go live and you get their little notifications or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's so funny that someone that I follow like is calling it sip. Like that's what I was thinking in my head when I first read it. So I wasn't really reading. And I was like, oh, sip. And then I reread it and I was like,
you're like, why is she on there? Why is she not setting up for going? So that's kind of the funny of the morning. On top of that, we're matching, which is quite humorous.
On top of that, we're matching. So even though you got caught, we are on the same wavelength as per you.
We are.
As per you.
We're on the same wavelength. Yeah. Okay, girl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't have any like topics. We're not doing that.
No, we had like a light topic for today. I actually had, well, it's not really a topic, and I don't even know if this is going to be a good conversation to talk about.
Yeah.
But this week I've gone to, you know, because I'm trying to, you know, last episode we talked about transition. So like, let it be known that I'm still in transition and I'm still trying to figure stuff out. So I'm trying to get more like plugged into the community here, right? Like go to events, like try to network, which I'm not great at. I think I just get really in my head about networking, about like needing to, which really all it is having a conversation and meeting people. But for some reason, when it's like prefaced as a networking event, it makes me feel very like, oh, I need to, I don't know, like
put on your glasses.
Yeah, put on my glasses. So I was out at lunch with my partner. This was before we saw the flat, and they had a little thing in the bathroom for like monthly events at this space that we were at having lunch, and they were advertising this networking event or whatever. So we go, and I think I was just confused all around. Let me just put it that way. I was confused all around. I think it was actually meant to be more so for musicians, which is not how it was advertised. It just said creative. And so it was basically a bunch of people who were just going to be performing, musicians that were just performing, and that we were meant to be like networking in between the sets, I guess. And which, I mean, we had a good time. My partner and I, like, we're just going to, whatever. We kind of went into it being like, okay, this is not what we thought it was going to be, but that's okay. We're still going to have a good time, listen to some live music, maybe talk to people, whatever. But basically, I started to get the vibe that like everyone that was there kind of knew each other already. But the guy who's running it, first of all, he's super nice. This is only the second time he's ever put on this event, and like I could tell he really wants to like grow it into something. So I wouldn't be against going to it again, but it was so confusing. So that was like the first sort of networking thing that I did this week. And I thought this was just a one-off thing.
Oh, jeez. Oh, gosh. It happened again.
The event was fine. I ended up meeting a couple people. It was a nice time. Incredible performers. The host was great. Like the event itself was fine, right? We had a good time. We went home. Then yesterday, I went out with my two girlfriends to what was supposed to be a music event. My one friend saw it on Instagram. It was going to be, again, like R&B music event, blah, 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 right? And my other friend is like 7 months pregnant, so she only has so many opportunities to get out of the house before she has a baby. So we were like, okay, let's go, whatever, to this event. Again, we were running super behind. Public transit was like not, I don't know, there was something happened yesterday. So it was supposed to start from 5. I think we got there 6:15, 6:30. Again, no one was there. Like empty. And like there was a musician sound checking.
I think they need you. I think they need your marketing. Are they not marketing? Like, what's happening?
Again, both events, beautiful spaces. The people running the event, so nice. Like, I could tell they were really, and also that event in particular was not advertised as a networking event. It was just supposed to be like a music thing, like live music, vibey situation, right? Yeah. And that event hoster, I'm not sure what she was, like kept coming up to us because we were the only people there, and she kept being like, yeah, just so you know, like, you know, the whole purpose of this event, again, like the other guy was saying at the other event, is for people to connect and like, you know, like get to know each other. We've got card games, we've got, you know, all kinds of stuff. And we're like, yeah, no problem. And she goes, yeah, so, you know, if somebody comes on their own and like I might have them come and just like sit near you guys so that like, you know, they can meet people, blah, blah. We were kind of like, okay, yeah. But at the same time, we were like, we didn't know, this was not advertised as a networking event. So we were like, we didn't come here, not that we have a problem talking to people, right? But it's just like, we didn't come here with the intention of networking. What'd you say?
Like, you didn't come there to talk to strangers.
No, we, like, I mean.
Sorry, I'm laughing. Why? Wait, sorry, real quick. Do you know why I'm laughing?
Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because you couldn't hear me. And so, like, you get closer.
Make a difference? Oh my God, would you say this?
Why'd you?
I just be forgetting sometimes. I'm not sitting in the same room talking to you.
No, but it's like, you know how if you can't hear someone, you squint? Do you ever do that? Like, Wait,
Like,
what did
what?
you say?
Yeah.
No, like as if your eyes are gonna help you hear any
Yeah,
better.
no,
Like
that's
that.
so,
That was so
so
funny.
not helpful.
My bad, my bad. Just she got closer to this.
I know. I just sometimes, Nancy, I just be forgetting that we're just over the internet here, and I just feel like you're right there.
Oh, that
Oh my
cracked me
God.
up. Oh, that's so funny.
I thought you
Yeah,
were laughing because we're basically sitting the exact same on the couch. That's why I thought you were
I'm
laughing.
not laughing. No, I noticed that earlier, and I was like, I kind of like was like, okay, this is funny. And I'm like, well, and I'm having this whole conversation in my head while you're talking.
Yeah,
And so I'm still actively listening. And like in my head, I'm like, we are sitting in the same position. I was
yeah.
literally like the other leg up the exact same way. And then our backgrounds are similar. It
I'd
looks
be
like
thinking,
you're right there.
who are we? That's what I'm saying. It feels like we're literally in the same house. I don't know.
It's just so
Oh,
funny. Yeah,
oh,
networking or just events in general, it's one of those things where, and I guess maybe before I even start like kind of going on a tangent here, do you think that that the events aren't like advertised well, or is it that?
both. I think that like the event that was supposed to be networking was advertised as networking, but actually really wasn't. I don't think was in the place of networking that I think he
Mm-hmm,
wanted it to be. Like if you
mm-hmm.
had just advertised it as like live music and like kind of like an opportunity for musicians to connect, and I would have been like, oh, it's live music. But also, again, I'm a choreographer. My partner's a videographer, so for us as well, it was like, well, these are musicians, so they might need people to film music
Yeah.
videos, choreography. Like you
Yep.
never know.
Yep.
So we would have still gone regardless. But I think, and again, maybe this is I think it's two pronged. Is basically what I'm trying to say. I also think the vibe that I was getting is that both of these events are run by fairly younger people, younger than me at least, maybe like 25-year-old. And also, I think it's a bit of like a cultural thing of like young British people don't maybe know how to network or talk to each other in the
Mm.
way that I feel like if I had gone to an event like that in America, like we would just chat, like you would just talk to people, like it's
Yeah.
very, I think it's like the casualness of like talking to strangers or like being personal in that way is built into our culture a little bit more, at least is my experience, and this is what me and my other two friends were talking about last night as well. um that I feel like I actually feel like both of such great ideas and like great ways for people to like meet and connect in a really casual, like cool, fun, vibey setting, but they're just not executed very well. Because we showed up like 6:15, 6:30, and we were like, okay, let's give it an hour. Maybe we're just early. Like maybe we're just the old heads that came early. We didn't know any
Right.
better.
I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I just
We're
want to
like,
go
let's
home.
just give it,
Get there early and
because
sing the thing.
I've got my friend who's pregnant. She's got a husband and like a toddler at home as well. So like
Yeah.
she didn't want to be out that late. My other friend and I knew like, okay, we want to have a good time, but also like we're going to dinner. We have plans tonight as well. So we were like, this is not our night out for the weekend. Like we gotta
Yeah.
pace ourselves. So
Yeah.
like, but even within an hour, I think maybe four more people showed up, and I think they all seemed to be like confused. Like they were all very confused about what the
Yeah.
event was. And so we ended up leaving. They have all these really great ideas for these events. And I think the idea of it is great, but I think the follow through is really difficult for some reason. I've been to quite a few events here in London. And like, unfortunately, a large majority of them end up being like the Black events, right? Because I'm always trying to find the Black events. I don't necessarily, I'm not just going to go to any event. I want to go to support the Black people, right? And
Right.
I want to support their event and what they're trying to do. And I think
Yeah.
like it was such a great idea. And I wish that it had been what I thought it was going to be, or even just been like, even just if there was people there, because also this event we had to pay as well. Like the one that I went to the night before, we had to pay, but it was like ten bucks for a ticket to go to this event. And then the other event that we went to, I think it was like they did like first release, second release, and third release for a ticket to go to this event. First release was 20. I think I bought mine on the second release was 25, and then my friend who was pregnant, she decided to come at the last second, so she bought the third release, like £35 ticket. So like it was also not super cheap. You're paying for I mean, cheap, yeah, but like
$35.
you're paying
Pounds.
for a ticket. You're also paying for public transportation to get there, or paying for
Yeah.
some sort of transportation to get there. You're also paying for drinks. So like I paid for my friend and I got 2 glasses of wine, and I paid for that first round, and it was like $20. So if you're drinking, throughout the night, you're doing cocktails, you're doing whatever, like you're gonna spend quite a bit of money if you have snacks,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Not to mention whatever you spent on getting yourself ready to go. Because
Yeah.
I mean, all of the people that were there looked, I mean, like fabulous, like
Yeah.
makeup, hair, outfits, like they were serving. So like, I obviously put some effort into it. And then I felt bad for the event runners because it's like, the people that do come early, right, are not going to want to stay. So then it's like, at that point, why wouldn't you just do the event? At that point, why are you running the event for 6 hours if realistically people are not going to show up until like 8 or 9 o'clock at night?
It's stupid. It makes no sense. And I'm here for you and your friends. I don't know if they're all transplants. Is that what they call them? Transplants?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah. We're all from the
To
States. All three of us are from the States, and all three of us are Black women. So like,
yeah.
you know,
To throw something that like just culturally that they haven't seen before, because yeah, that's just not, it's not okay. And in the UK, like you have a lot of other like transplants, and a
yeah,
lot of people, like if they're black, they're from other countries,
yeah,
and a huge amount are going to be from, like, there's a lot of Africans, I'm sure, that live there.
there
There's
is.
a lot of
There's a
Caribbeans
lot
that live
of
there,
there's a lot of
and an
Nigerians,
African will
but
not show up. Okay, if
till
the
late.
event is from 5 to 11, we are getting there at 10:30.
Yeah, 100%,
10:30
100%,
is the spot before the spot,
100%.
because
I mean, we showed up an hour and a half after it started, and we were
yeah,
again like the first and only ones there,
yeah,
basically.
no, that's
So
wild. That is
and I
absolutely
think
wild.
again, the reason why I brought up like, maybe it's people that are a bit younger is because I think, and I could be making a grand assumption. So I just want to, put my little preface saying of like, this could be a grand assumption, and I could be potentially talking about things I don't know nothing about.
Yeah,
But I think like something about this like 24, 25 age range of people, I think find it difficult, especially here, because it's not a part of British culture for the most part, unless you're around other people that are in your community. So like if you're in a Nigerian community, you're more likely to talk to other Nigerians type of thing. Or if you're in even like the Polish community, you're going to talk to other Polish people in that community. But if within like the British culture here in London, people just don't talk to strangers. Like they don't even, like huge pet peeve of mine. They don't, if there's someone walking up behind you and you're like they're walking quickly and you're not walking as fast, they won't say excuse me. They won't be like, oh excuse me, for you to move out of. They'll just keep like getting close to you, trying to talk to you until you notice that they're there and move out of the way. Like it happens constantly where people won't just be like, sorry, excuse me, to get to where they're going. They just expect you to mind read because they don't talk. Like that's like, and I only know because my partner is British, right? And so he's told me before that like that's just, people don't do that. It's like uncommon. So I think that part of it, and also this sort of like younger generation who kind of lives their lives online type of thing,
yeah, they don't
that
know how to.
they just have a hard time meeting people. And so
Yeah,
that's why I was like,
yeah,
not disappointed in the sense of like, oh, like it was a waste of my time type of thing, but just disappointed that I don't think it had the the kind of like success, or I don't even know, because we left at 7:30, so who knows? The rest of the night could have been like really cool
It
and
could have
really
been
popping.
popping. Okay. It
Yeah,
could
I
have
have
started
no
popping at 9
idea.
o'clock
But at
versus when they
that
should open
point,
the
if
doors.
you have a start time at 5, you have to know that people expect that some people might come at 5. Like,
Right.
even if you, and that's where I question the whole thing of like, who are these events actually really meant for? Are they open, for really anybody to come? Because you're saying you want people to come and you want people to interact with each other. But then it seems like the fact that like even for both of these events, that people were still sound checking during the time where like the event should be starting, like
Yeah.
be in full swing, whatever
Yeah.
kind of thing. That it just makes me kind of feel like, again, like that you're running this event for the people that you already know, in a way, like for the type of people that you already know.
Yeah.
And then therefore it still is kind of isolating in terms of like, it's supposed to be networking, right? It's supposed to be connecting, it's supposed to be networking.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, it's a branding thing, it's a marketing thing of like, who's your target audience? Who's your actual target audience? Because if you're just trying to put on an event for your people, by your people, then like I feel like some of the marketing tactics that you're using of just like pushing it out to as many people as possible really isn't the avenue you need to be going in, right? You need to kind of like then just market it towards the type of people that you want to open the space to, because then the people that aren't from that or aren't in that target audience are going to show up and they're going to feel unwelcome to some degree, even though you're not maybe purposefully trying to make them feel unwelcome. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. No, totally. Totally. And you'd said something about like people being in kind of in this online realm. And I kind of want to use that opportunity to kind of pivot just a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
So I have been really into, I know you've heard me talk about this all the time, this Pop the Balloon or Find Love. Okay. Like this is my new show. This is my new show.
Yes.
And, I don't know, in some weird ways, like the inability to throw an event in the UK is very similar to the ability to interact or to date in America.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean? Like on Pop the Balloon on Fire, if y'all have not watched it, you're under a rock. Have you watched it? You've watched
No,
this. You
I
have to.
haven't watched it, but I know I've heard of it. I haven't watched it. But yeah.
You've got to watch it. Okay, at least you've heard of it, so you're not under a rock, but
No,
you're
I'm
kind of
not
like
under a
creeping
rock.
up
I just
from
like,
under you're like the rock is here, and you're like this.
yeah. I looked it up and then I'm like, oh yeah, I got to get to that, and then I put it.
Yeah, I got to get to that. So the whole premise of the show is it's so genius. And the lady, so there's several different renditions, but there's one lady in particular, Arlette something. I can't remember her last name, but I like hers. I've only watched hers, but I've kind of seen like glimpses of others. And so people show up and so like you apply or you call and say, hey, or you email and say, hey, I want to be on the show, da da blah, blah. I want to find love, And so then they're like, so they call you. Her husband is the producer, so him or the team, someone calls you, and they say, "Hey, I got your email. We'd love to have you. Where do you live?" They get your information. Okay, show up like you're dressed for a date. So you know that you're on that show to find love, right? Pop the balloon or find love. You know how to dress, and style is, hey, to each his own. Cool, right? So people show up however they want to dress. All right, cool. But in having it's also a dating show. So like they'll ask questions. So like as soon as you come out there, if you don't like the way someone looks, there's like either men or women lined up. So it's like 10 men or 10 women lined up, and there's one man or one woman, right? Accordingly. So as soon as a woman or man walks up, people start popping their balloons if they don't like what they look like. So, but you'll see a lot of times where they don't pop the balloon at all. So like, okay, everyone's attracted to this person, or they just want to have more of a shot. It's funny because what I've noticed also is like the longer the show goes, like from a time perspective, the less people are going to just start pop, 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 pop. Okay, I've also noticed that. But some of the things that people say and the questions they ask they blow my absolute mind. Like, what has really been driving me crazy has been like, oh, I'm popping your balloon, like for women. popping balloons because of height. Because this man could help how tall he is. I don't understand that.
Like weirdly specific where they'll be like, oh, it just gives me the ick, or like, oh, I can't, I just don't like I think there was a dude who was like, oh, I don't, you wear too much makeup or something like that. It's like, what?
It's the crazy, and the guy says some crazy things, and and I want to hold my ladies accountable. I'm not gonna lie, I gotta hold us accountable because we be tripping too. Like,
right. I
I
agree.
used to have a height thing, and I really had to sit back with myself to understand, like, okay, why do I have a height thing? I let go of that several years ago, simply because a good guy does not always come like in the height where I'm comfortable when I wear heels.
Right.
Right. And so, a lot of it is like self-esteem driven. And it's just like, if you like a tall man, you like a tall man. Okay. Why do I like a tall man? And like define that well. Right. Hey, I feel protected with him. I feel this way with him and all that. So then you know exactly why you prefer that. And so if you come across a man that is not necessarily that height, but you still get these it's still
like I feel
checking that
safe,
off.
I'm
Right.
confident.
So like if it's a height thing, it's like, whatever, like it should go both ways. Fair is fair.
It should also go both ways of like these sort of like evaluating, okay, like why does her height make you
Exactly.
feel XYZ? Like what's going on with
Exactly.
you that makes whatever.
Exactly. Exactly. But like just some of the questions are just wild to me. And to your point, like some of the reasons are just crazy to me. And like my brain starts to like spaz out. It really does. Because all I can this is like my financial brain. All I can think about is y'all are sitting here because there was that one guy that was like, oh, he popped the lady's balloon because she had ashy knees. It wasn't ashy. She had like a scar on her knee or something like that. And so he was like, yeah, other than that, man, you fire, you my type, da da da. But you had, I was going with that knee. She's like, I fell and it's healing. He's like, but you got to moisturize it, baby. You got to moisturize. So I was like, it was wild, right? And one thing that I'm not seeing on the show, like, so it's a show for us, obviously by us and for us. But like, so there's no other like racially, if you are other race, you're mixed race, right? So there's been like Spanish and black or white and black, but there hasn't been like just a Spanish person or just a white person, like no full outside race. So it's just us on the World Wide Webs picking at each other in this crazy way. Okay. All right, cool.
Already what's happening. Already what's happening.
Okay. Yeah. Driving me wild. So then I'm like, as I keep watching the show more and more, and you tie in like money to it. Look, I was telling my sister about this. I was like, marriage is for the poor and for the class of people that are just getting by, which is everyone else. So basically marriage is for anybody except for those that are like extremely wealthy. Mm-hmm. If you're extremely wealthy, sometimes you don't get married. Like just don't, because it could actually hurt you. Right? Like not legally, right? Like you can have your spiritual stuff and you can set up, there's ways to set up everything legally to where the kids are
like
protected.
The symbolism. Whereas like most people, they get married to combine income to be able to like, lift up into the next level or whatever it is, Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
That's a huge reason for for legally getting married. Yeah. And then when you start looking at, okay, and I don't know statistics, but there's not like how many of us, what's our rates of marriage, right? Mm-hmm. And then what is also our economically the average Black income, and I just know the numbers in the States, kind of sort of for the most part. So the average income in the U.S. is like just over 50,000 or something like that. Yeah. The average income for Black people in America is like 40 something thousand. So we are already below. And then on top of that, like we're not getting married. I get it. There's systematic and there's all these reasons or whatnot. But at the end of the day, there's also reasons like that because we are being so hard on each other. Yeah. Right. Instead of like learning a person for who they actually are, you're going like, it's so like based on aesthetics, and it's so
also
based
the
on
part that like, and this is the part that really gets me, because I understand the concept behind like sometimes you're just not attracted to certain things, and like you should probably go to therapy and figure that out.
yeah.
But you know, I get it. Sometimes you're just not attracted to a person. I've always been the kind of person where like I may find you attractive, but genuinely your personality makes you more attractive to me. Like, so even if I see you and like physically I don't think you're as attractive as someone else, let's say, your personality to me like makes you that much more attractive. So like I just looks and those superficial things, like that's when I start to question and where like the toxicity of it comes in for me, because what happens when you get married and you know, let's say she wants to have kids, you guys have kids, or you guys mutually decide you want to have kids together, inevitably her body's going to change. Inevitably, the passing of time, things will change. Accidents happen. You might get scarred. You might get burned. You might have like, you know what I mean? Like life happens. So if you're making that's why I liked that. What was the show that we were talking about?
DCC.
No, the one with the pod. What is it called? I can't remember. I can't remember right now. But the one where
Love is
they
Blind.
like,
Love is
there you go,
Blind.
Love is Blind. This is why I got into Love is Blind. I mean, Love is Blind also has some questionable choices in that show. Questionable choices around. Different people are different, and different people make choices every day. But that's why I liked that show more, because it was like they actually spoke to each other and had to get to know each other before they ever saw each other.
Yeah.
You know, and then it was like, okay, yeah, like I am attracted to you as well. But this thing of like making a flash judgment just solely based off of the way that somebody looks is crazy. That to me, I'm like, what kind of Lulu world are you living in where you think that the way that somebody looks is going to be how they're going to look for the rest of their life, first of all. And second of all, and maybe this is just like romanticism for me, but I'm like, you could literally be missing out on meeting the love of your life, the person who is going to be that exact match for you, like purely because why? Because she likes makeup? Because she fell down? Because like, you know,
like,
or vice versa, because he's 5'6", because you know,
and you're 5'4",
right?
but you're like, I like really tall men,
but you need him to be taller. I just like it. I think that it's like this bigger question that I'm like, beauty standards are crazy. First of all, that's like a conversation that we don't need to get into today. Beauty standards are crazy, but it's also like this thing of like validity, I think, of like almost like what you were saying about insecurities earlier, of like, oh, if I'm seen with a person who has these socially acceptable, attractive attributes, then that somehow validates me as a person because I'm with them, right? Like, oh, that makes me look better and seem more valid as a woman, as a man, or as a person, whatever it is, because I'm seen with them.
Exactly.
And it's very like, I have
it's
a
wild.
huge
It's wild.
issue.
It's so
huge
wild.
issue with that.
And like what people aren't thinking about is the long-term impact on your life after now, right?
After now,
like the pickier, be picky. Okay, cool. You got your preference. Okay, cool. Do your preference. Do all your things.
Right.
When you are, because it'll come if you don't die before that. Like two things are certain. You gotta pay taxes, okay? And you're gonna die. It's gonna happen. The third thing
Sorry,
that's
that's heavy,
certain
but
is,
it's the truth.
right?
Yeah.
Is that you're going to get to a point where you can no longer, Lord forbid, during that time period or even before that, it could happen right now. People go to the doctor, you're not feeling well, you have a cough, you get diagnosed, you've got freaking cancer, right? And like, who's supposed to support you financially? The government? No, that's not their job, and they won't. They'll only support you to a certain point. right? And then if you're not married, and Lord forbid you've got to go, especially like here in the States. I don't know how it is in the UK, but in the States, if you have to go into like a long-term care facility, you need
nationalized healthcare, so a lot of stuff is you don't have to pay for, which is nice. But
yeah. But I mean, the question though is, if you have to go to a facility to get taken care of, who's paying for that?
right.
Who's paying for that? Like most governments cannot afford to pay for their citizens to stay in a facility. They can maybe pay for like, healthcare or to go get a checkup or something like that, but like it'll crumble. Like you can't afford to pay for people to go to an assisted living facility.
Falling on, if you don't have a partner, whatever it is, the responsibility falling on somebody else, or if you have, like, for example, you have your son, like, if it's just you, right, and you've got all this like financial burden because you've gotten sick or whatever it is, right? Like, what about, your son or your kids or other dependents that you may have that depend on you, type thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, so just when I watch that show, it like, that's what I start thinking about, because naturally, like I spend a lot of time educating the community on stuff like that,
Yeah.
on like what to do in the event that this were to happen, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah.
resources out there.
Yeah.
But it just blows my mind. It's like, let's stop thinking about the right now, the immediate, the stupid scar on someone's knee, the I want my man to be 10 feet tall. For what? So he can hang a curtain. And guess
Right.
what? He's not gonna hang no curtains in your house.
No.
He's not.
No.
And let's look for substance and real qualities that actually make up a good partner,
Yeah.
provider. Like,
Yeah.
I probably tend to be way more traditional than most. And it's really why, like, that there's that term like boss babe. Ugh, that like drives me crazy. I am not a boss babe. Okay.
I'm a boss babe, but I'm here for my soft life era. Like, look, I know I can do it by myself. I don't want to.
Yeah, like that's why I be like, yeah. Last week, my friend Rama, she's been on the pod
Mm-hmm.
on
Yeah, yeah.
Sip before, and she messaged me and she was like, "What is your definition of what was the? How do you define a? I'll have to go find this. Hold on, because I want to see what I forget what the term was. She said something woman. Oh gosh, where's her? These many people don't text me for real. Let's see. Interesting. Define it. Definition of an alpha female.
Oh yeah.
So
Which
anytime I hear
I
like,
hate that. I hate the term alpha anything. I
yeah.
hate it.
So my response was like, if it's an alpha is like top,
Yeah.
right? Like, and so when you say alpha and you say female, it's like people are generally speaking of like, what's a woman? So when they say alpha female, it's not strong. I'm a strong black woman.
Yeah.
It's like an alpha female, like you define, and everyone's definition is allowed to be different, but like an alpha female, like how do you define that? And people really get confused with what that and like, I'm a strong black woman. You know what I mean? Like an alpha female is not the same as
In like the alpha male,
yeah.
definition, that like that's why that word in specific turns me off so much, is because it's like, it's this ideology around like alpha meaning power and control and like top dog kind of thing, rather than alpha being like the best or being like, the highest version, if that makes sense. Because we're talking about like what that word kind of means is like, what is the highest version? So an alpha female would be like, what is the highest version of like womanhood, right? Or like, what's the highest version of manhood, versus this like, I'm the top, I'm the boss, I'm the whatever. Like, okay.
It's mad aggy. But anyways, yeah, no, that show, as you were talking about the events in the UK and like how people don't know how to really interact with each other, it just made me think of Pop the Balloon.
Well, and I think what it actually is, it makes me think about as well, like, of this thing behind like vulnerability to some degree. So like for you to actually connect with people on a
Yeah.
non-superficial level, right?
Yep.
So like there's an aspect this is why I think networking is like I have a hard time with it. Like I said in the beginning, like why I have such a hard time with networking is because like I'm genuinely interested in connecting with people who are like-minded, right?
Yeah.
Whether that be like I'm not saying these people are going to be my best friends, but if we're all like-minded, like I'm genuinely interested in getting to know people like that. But I think that is because there's like a vulnerability of like self and like knowing self and being vulnerable with yourself to know how to be vulnerable with other people because it is vulnerable like
Yeah.
meeting a new person and getting to know them other than just like what do you do,
Yeah.
you know, why are you here, what's your background, like that kind of thing. Those things are important to your sort of like overall identity,
Yeah.
but like that's not really who I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No,
So
no, completely. Totally makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, I think people's like genuine heart is in it that they're like, they maybe lack that sense of community, within, and that's why they're kind of trying to curate community space and event for people to
Mm.
come and like come together and like meet each
Hmm.
other. But I think
Yeah.
there is a little level of like, if you don't even know who you're trying to meet or like what kind of space you're trying to curate, or like if you haven't even really kind of like met yourself enough to know what kind of community you want to be a part
Oh,
of,
yeah.
I think
Meeting
it's really
yourself.
difficult for you to curate space for
Yeah.
other people to do the same. And I don't
Yeah.
want to make assumptions about these specific people. I'm just talking about like generally speaking. I think this is why I have a hard time coming to networking events because I'm like, I don't know. And maybe I'm taking this ideology of like networking so heavy because for me, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to like, I don't want to like ignore anybody out of my, potential communications or anything like that. But like,
Yeah.
I think I just don't really care to network with people that like don't vibe with the things I vibe with, like values
Yeah.
wise, or even just like what I care about in the political climate, what I care about. And like, we don't have to agree, right? Like, cause even you and I, for example, like, I don't think I'm necessarily like as traditional in a lot of ways as you are, but like you and I still have like a real true like meeting of the minds and like an
Yeah.
understanding of each other in
Yeah.
a way that's like we connect and like we
Yeah.
connect on the same
Yeah.
plane, even though we may not have, or even with my partner, for example, like there are things that he and I don't necessarily like agree on, but we have a true meeting of the minds and we understand why the other person thinks and feels that way and like why we might have different opinions about it, but there's a respect and an understanding and we can still come together, you know, without having to agree on everything.
Yeah. No, it's and yeah, it's just as you're talking, it's just more and more. It's like networking is dating, right?
It
Like,
is.
and
It
like
is.
when we talk about dating, I think I don't know what's the definition, like the real definition of dating. I don't know what the real definition is. Maybe I should go look it up. But like when you talk about dating, yeah, you're dating for a relationship, or you can be dating for a job, or you can be dating for, you know, a connection, right? Or like different connections, or it's all dating. And like net, like I think what these two situations really have in common is like people just don't know, to your point, how to build and establish that like a genuine level of understanding for each other. We are in such like this microwave, right? Society, culture, whatever, where everything we want is instant. So like if I want to find a dancer, or a choreographer, I can just go online and I can type that in. And so it's like, oh, okay, I can go online. No, but you don't know that person. And then you end up meeting that person and the vibe is off. And then you're like, oh, don't ever go to this choreographer. They're terrible. Da, da, da. And folks would much rather that's why the online dating, I mean, I've done my online dating, right? Looking for jobs, like you go, instead of like taking the time and building a good like platform for yourself, to your point, getting to know yourself. So who are you in the job space? It's your LinkedIn profile, right? And if you are a creative, it's your TikTok, it's your Instagram, it's your YouTube. Instead of taking the time and creating these spaces, when you create them, you get solidarity in who you are. You went to school to gain that solidarity and that confidence you need to kind of get out there and be able to share that with folks. No, but instead of doing that, people want to hide behind a phone. Even content creators, the top content creators, do you know what they do every day, Alana? What are they doing? They're going out and they're networking. They're going out, they're shaking hands with brands because all you are is an online presence. And it's completely impossible for someone to know who you are unless they actually like meet, like talk to you and dialogue with you. Yeah.
Content creators or even just people in general.
Catfishing. What's up?
This is where you get into trouble because, like, you know, these people will accept a brand deal or they'll accept a job or they'll accept some sort of contract or communication, whatever it is, job related, right, with each other. And then later on down the line, you realize, oh, this is unethical or this is whatever. Like, I don't agree with this thing. A perfect example when you were talking about that is I was having a conversation with, I'm just going to say a family member of my partner. Yeah. And I don't want to say who. But, and it was no tea, no shade to this person. I just think it was like a misinformation of like, they were asking me about future goals and whatever it is with like dance and choreographing and all those things. And I was like, you know, to be honest, I'm kind of in this space right now where I just want to put a lot of intention on the opportunities that I think I could be passionate about, that work really well with my skill set, you know, and curating community and meeting people and networking and just seeing what opportunities pop up. I'm okay right now with just being in the flow, right? And the
Look, I know everyone's probably gonna get tired of me shifting around, but y'all, I'm old. My hips.
I know. I keep shifting too.
You're a dancer. You're so flexible.
My body just seize up if I don't move every few minutes.
I'm like, oh wait, hold on, I got it.
My hips, my shoulders.
My bad. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, this person was like, oh, but like, this also gives you an indication of also this person's age range. Was like, oh, so you're telling me if Madonna reached out to you and was like, I was like, Madonna, like whatever, she's still living her life, but I'm like, other more successful people or whatever, you know, whatever. Neither here nor there. Was like, what, you know, if Madonna reached out to you and offered you X amount of money, you know, if you got offered this contract for X amount of money, let's say, I don't know, 100,000, 200,000 pounds, whatever it is, would you wouldn't, basically saying you wouldn't take the job. Like, you wouldn't take the job then? You wouldn't take the job? And I was like, I'm not saying I wouldn't take the job. I'm just saying that, like, for me, I need more. I was like, oh, well, I would need more information. And then, like, the response I got was like, what? Like, you wouldn't just take it? You wouldn't just take it? To our point of, like, no, because there's so many, like, obviously, if I was in the position right now where I was like, ooh, $100,000 could really change my life right now. Do you know what I mean? I'd be more apt or more interested in taking that opportunity. But I'm just not in a place where I'm willing to compromise things. Like, you know, I need to know what's the music, what's the vibe, what's the, you know, is it something that I connect with, you know, choreographically, you know, all of these things.
What are the hours? Like,
the hours.
How much am I going to be working?
Right.
What's the attire? Like, well, you're choreographing. Okay, I'm choreographing. Do
but
I
even
also
for
have to perform?
For the dancers, right? What is the culture around the dancers? What is the, like, pastoral care for dancers? Meaning, like, how are they being taken care of? Are they getting breaks? Are they getting fed? Are they getting, like, support, healthcare? Like, all of these things, right? Like, those things are super important to me. But, like, I don't care who it is. No, like, I'm the biggest Megan Thee Stallion fan, you know, that I know. I wouldn't even take a job for her, right? If, like, there were not certain things that were met in terms of, like, care around, you know, whatever job it is that I'm doing. And that is because I know who I am and I know it's important to me. And I know that there are, like, as an artist, as a creative, I'm not going to compromise that just for a check. And I know that there are a lot of people that are okay doing that. And then later on down the line, you hear about all of this crazy toxic stuff that's happening on behind the scenes. And then, you know, then you lose your career or you lose opportunities or you get canceled or whatever it is. And it's like, because you don't actually know, you didn't know who you were then. And the person that you thought you knew wasn't based in anything like deep. It was based in I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful, which almost never works out well. It almost always goes up in flames. If it's not now, sometime later on in the future. If you're willing to compromise on everything for the opportunity of success, it's just it's never gonna work out the way in the same way that it does with, we're talking about jobs specifically, but even if we go back to talking about dating, if you're willing to compromise completely on everything just because you want to get married or just because you want to have that outside ideal of a relationship or what it looks like on the outside, it's not going to turn out the way you think it's going to. It just won't. It won't, because you're forgetting that you guys are actually real people that have real like needs and wants and desires and goals and whatever it is that may not align if you're not, talking about that real kind of
stuff. No, it's it is definitely, it's really important. And while you're doing the analysis, 80/20 rule is one of those things that I've grown to really use. It helps check like my feelings and emotions and not to react like on impulse, right? So because things are going to happen to your people, whether it be with a job or in a relationship or with your parents in that relationship, like you're a human being. And so if you get into a situation where you've compromised every single thing that you have, even if that's the route that you choose to go, then make sure that that's your 80, right? Whatever it is that you have, the reason why you have compromised and sold your soul to misery, make sure that is your 80. Like if you value like money, right? You want a partner that can provide financially, whether it be in a relationship or we call them jobs, but like a job is really a partnership, right? It's like it's you partnering with another company. They're paying you, an income. Like it's really partnership too. So whether it be, in a romantic relationship, in a financial relationship or whatever, if money's what you want, be sure that that's your 80. And your 80/20s can switch up. Like you don't have to have, just like your purpose isn't always exactly the same, right? It changes. It could change by the season, but that 80%, because when the time gets rough, because it will, okay? When that 20 is the 80 for whatever that season might be, you got to hold on to that 80 that you went in there for. Otherwise you will continue to find yourself in and out of situations, right? So 80/20, it's just turned out to be like a really goodie for me. And to just kind of sit back and reflect, and like, because there's times with every relationship that I have, on all different spectrums, where I just want to kill somebody. But I know prison's not for me. I'm not trying to go that life. You know what I mean? Like I need my brow gel. I need it. I need my certain toothpaste. I need it. Right? Like I need certain things. Like I want to be wearing my earrings. Like I need it. So like I don't want to go to jail. I don't know if, I'm sure you can wear earrings in jail. I don't know. But so I don't want to go to jail. So I'm not going to kill anyone. And so I've just really learned, and I'm in my big age, I'll be 40 this year. So it took a while to kind of get to that point for sure. But I definitely say as I started transitioning, it's been throughout my 30s, that transitioning mentally, and even the height thing, it went away. Like as I got into my 30s, it was like, what the hell is some bullshit? Because I done been with tall, fine, stacked, oh, honey, baby. But what you got to offer me? Not a damn thing. I could find that beyond in a man that is below 6 feet tall, and more like, I'm sorry, I'm sticking with that all day. I'm gonna ride with that all day. I can find emotional stability with my friends, right? Like, and so for that reason, I'm not going to get abused by a man because I have friends at the end of the day. I have family at the end of the day. I can find, so my 80 is always going to be, okay, what is this person's core, right? What intrinsically, whether it be a job, a human being, what intrinsically is, is this person, who are they intrinsically, right? Like, so if it's a financial partnership, to your point, as a choreographer, how are you treating your dancers, right? How are you treating the team of people that are with you? That's what makes you want to show up every day, because no matter how hard those hours are, no matter how hard that 20 is, that 80 is going to always supersede the 20, right? And even in the moments where, again, it might feel like the 20 is superseding the 80, at the core of what that relationship is, the foundation is solid. So,
well, but like, that thing of like, when it starts to flip flop, and this is what people forget as well, is like, that's when like communication skills come into play,
yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Again, whether it's a relationship or a job or friendship or whatever it is,
yeah,
right? If things start to flip flop and things start to feel
yeah,
misaligned,
yeah,
like if you don't, I know I feel like we're talking in circles a little bit here, but like if you don't know who you are and what you want and what your stuff is, then you're entering into this like communication. Well, we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. But then you're not talking to each other. You're talking at each other, right?
yeah,
Where
yeah,
like I'm telling you, you're telling me, but I'm not actually. Neither one of us are really listening.
yeah,
Neither one of us are really like,
yeah, yeah,
you know, taking in. And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with compromise, so long as you are still within that structure of the 80-20 thing of what you're talking about, right? Like as long as you're within the structure of like where it still aligns with who you are, you can
yeah,
compromise. No one's
yeah,
saying you shouldn't compromise or anything like that,
yeah,
but it's this thing of like, I don't know, it just really, it sounds maybe like simplistic and kind of like palm face to say a little, but it's
yeah,
like, you really, in order to be successful in whatever version of success looks like to you in your life period, you really do have to take the time to learn about yourself and
yeah,
figure out who you are on like a really deep and scary level,
yeah,
versus like trying to be something that, like, running away from something that you think you're going to become, right?
yeah, yeah,
um Trying to like almost like overdo, like, you know make up for what you don't have. So like, well, I don't want to be like that, so I'm going to really be like this, right? That
yeah,
kind of thing. That's not
yeah,
successful either. Like, I just think there's a real like meeting of the soul. And again, it sounds very like duh to say. I know people say it all the time, you need to meet yourself, you need to know yourself, you need to whatever,
mm,
whatever. But like, it's all encompassing. It's all encompassing. Like, if you don't do that, you're going to end up in a lot of situations where you feel like misaligned, where you feel like, why is this
yeah,
so hard? Why is this so hard for me? Why can't I have? Why can't I be? Why can't I
yeah,
da 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 da, right?
yeah.
So
No, that's really good. This is a really great like way to start my day
I
and
know
mid
your
your
day is
day.
starting. I'm like, right, I'm about to go. It's almost 5 o'clock. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm about to be really sipping on a
okay. Look, I'm like, is there a brunch somewhere I should be going to? I actually travel tomorrow, so I've got to go. And it's such a gloomy day out here.
Oh,
But I've got to I want to get my toes done, my nails done, kind of and then
gotta
start
get
to
ready for
pack in.
vacation. I have the opposite. It was like a really nice day in London today for once.
Like, what the heck? We switched weathers.
Sometimes I just think you gotta humble yourself over there a little bit and remember that weather is not always gonna be sunshine in the summer.
Like, I wouldn't mind if I didn't have to like travel tomorrow and I have stuff to do. What the heck? I need the sun out, no rain. But anyways, it was so great to chat and catch up and all the good jazz and all that stuff.
Um, Pictured is the last one, so we'll see if it resonates with people. If it resonates, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like how, I don't know. Sometimes I'd be like, please don't leave any like hate comments.
It's okay. I'll go in and just delete them.
Yeah, just delete them. Like, deleted. You're not alive. Because, sometimes it can be, people always say, like, I do think in a world of podcasting, like, folks are always like, they over podcast, but then there's also people like us who are genuinely like, hey, like, a lot of people are looking for community, and do want to talk to someone that maybe shares their same thought process. And in this world, it's so hard when people don't even know how to talk to each other in the real world. So yeah, so we do this for them. And yeah, so if anything resonates with you, please let us know. As Alana said, if it doesn't, just, this is not the platform for you. Go away.
Probably be better. I don't know.
Look, I'm like, if it doesn't, go away. Oh, all right. So we'll see each other next time. And y'all be sure to follow Sips and Conversations. All the links are going to be down there. Okay. Yes. Let us know what your favorite part of this episode was. I don't know. We might have to talk. I wonder if we're going to split it up or not into like a couple different ones. I don't know. Because I don't know how long we've been on for. This has been kind of, but it's been a great chat. Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time, peace out. Happy sipping. Do I stop?
I'm not a producer.